So we're all set. Delighted to be here. I was talking to them earlier, and it really is like being between two darlings. I was practicing my air kissing. No. Okay. They're going to tell us later how to do it. Darlings beyond borders float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. They wear lawn, we sit on our lawns. Their TV is great, our movies are better. They want Kashmir, we are not going to part with it. They have Fawad Khan, we have Khan Market. Their cricketers wear green, I stole that. Their cricketers wear green, our men wear blue. They ban YouTube, we ban BBC documentaries on YouTube. They produce ISI agents, our actors play them on American TV. India and Pakistan can never be friends, or can they? Moni Mohsin and Shobha De are friends and their sisters under the skin. Moni's humor lets her get away with absolute murder. Shobha's sharp writing can make grown men quiver. Moni's iconic butterfly flits in and out of Lahore's society, complaining of mummy, talking of Janu, all the while delivering subtle truths about religion and extremism, as well as everything else in between. Shobha's caustic observations can provoke minor riots, right? And quite a few protests. Both are prolific writers who are not afraid to administer blows, but with such a light touch that the victims don't know whether to double up in laughter or writhe in pain. Moni's conversations about slinky aunties and chartouche mummies say more about Pakistan than many political columns. And Shobha's columns and books are never afraid of telling it as it is. Each encapsulates the spirit of their nations. Moni writes a letter from gracious, gilded Lahore. Shobha writes a letter from magnificent Mumbai. They float like butterflies and sting like bees. They remind us of what we have in common and also what divides us. Ladies and gentlemen, Moni Mohsin and Shobha De, letter from Lahore, letter from Mumbai. And in the interest of Mehman Nawazi, Moni, you go first. Thank you.
Dear Shobha, hello Ji. So much I've been saving to tell you since we last met. I would have come to see you sooner if it hadn't been for this visa shiza ka stupid jaisa nonsense. Honestly, kya musibat hai yaar, can't even cross the border without having to beg 100 favors. It's bad enough that we have to go and beg goras for visas. But you know, pleading in front of desis doesn't seem right. At least not for us khata pita types. Unlike the poors who have to beg every day for everything, hum used to nahi hai na? So it's not fair on us. Talking of visas, suna hai our foreign secretaries have also been doing chit-chat quietly in the backside. I think so. They're trying to do sulah after 2 years of kutti. Janu says that their talks have ended in stalemate. वैसे वो तो होना ही था. I mean, if you are going to bang on and on about bore jhagdas like Kashmir and Siachen and Sir Creep, वैसे who is this man, Sir Creep? So naturally, Baba, you're not going to make any headway. Now, instead of these bore babus from Islu and South Block, if our governments had sent you and me to do the talking, everything would have been sorted in the squint of an eye. Because you know na, you and me, kitna kuch we have in common. We have cricket in common, we have all our celeb friends in common, we have Bollywood in common, we have pans, mangoes, shadis, shallus, sholay in common. And then we all have our Khans in common. Bhai Amir Khan, Salman Khan, Irfan Khan, Fawad Khan, Imran Khan, Reham Khan, and of course, not to forget the most important Khan of all, Khan Market. You know, for me, Shobha, first there's Harrods, then there's Dubai Mall, the one with the antiquarium full of sharks and all, and then there's Khan Market. Bas. As soon as an antiquarium opens in Khan Market also, I will move it up to number 2. Meanwhile, please accept my sorries, okay? Yaad aaya. We also have our TV dramas in common. Mummy to is totally little over some serial of yours called Chikori or something. Every time I call, she pretends she's in the toilet, so she can't speak to me. But I know she's watching Chikori. Either that or she's got aerobic dysentery. Vaise, imagine wanting to watch a drama more than talking to your own daughter. One shouldn't say bad things about your mother, of course, but Mummy is such a dhokebaz, na? But I must confess, Shobha, I myself have become hooked onto these Turkish soaps that we're getting in Pakistan nowadays. You have to watch, Shobha. The men, I tell you, they are such hulks. You know, tall, jaise, fair, and handsome. My absolute fave was a serial called Mera Sultan, which was about Suleiman the Magnificent. I got so revolved in it, kya bataun? After I finished, I called my Auntie Pussy and I said to her, "Hi, Auntie, I'm so depressed, ke don't even ask." And she said, "But why, beta?" And I said, "Because my Turkish soap has finished, na?" And she said, "You know, beta, I to swear by Dove. It gives best lather." Shobha, yaad aaya. One more thing we have in common. Bands. So for us, Basant is banned. Government says it's for our own good only, because lot of kids used to fall off their roofs while flying kites. But I'm wondering, if government cares so much about our safety, then why haven't they banned Kalashnikovs, Wo to you can buy as easily as chapatis in the bazaar, but not kites. And also, YouTube is banned for us, in case we come across something that will shock innocent, pious people like us, which if we watch by mistake, we go straight to hell. Also, I'm guessing it is for same sort of reasons that beef is banned for you Bombay walas. Hi, can I say the word Bombay or is that also banned? Don't want to offend, na? Being a guest with a single entry visa, and that also after so much groveling, shoveling. And also I hear BBC documentaries are banned for you all, in case you get shocked by their contents. Honestly, it's so nice to have governments that care so much for our moral welfare, no? Vaise, Shobha, why do foreigners have to make such hurtful shows and say things in them that shock us so much? I mean, and also they give us such a bad image of us to the rest of the world. I mean, why can't they say nice things about us? Between you, me, and the four walls, I think so it's a conspiracy to underline us. That's the only explanation. Otherwise, to Shobha, we are advanced ancient civilization, no? I mean, हमारी olden times की cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, भाई अपनी Indus Valley civilization नहीं थी. उसके अंदर they found proper big brick-lined nalas and drains वगैरह. Imagine, 4,000 years ago, when London and New York walas were wearing bear skins and eating kida makoras, we were sitting on Duraveet ke flushing toilets. Gee! And last week, a person from some United Nations ki branch came to us and told us that 40 million Pakistanis are doing big and small bathroom in the outside. And this was not nice. What cheeks, I say? I wanted to tell her, "Bhai, I'm sorry that the poor have forgotten how to sit on toilets and are doing bathroom big and small outside now, but it's not our fault if they're suffering from amnesia, okay?" Or bas Shobha, at my end, it's business as usual. Parties, khanas, GTs, oh Baba, get-togethers, weddings, vagaira. Everybody invites you. And if you don't go, then people mind kar jate hain, na? So you know, Shobha, no rest for us hard-working types. Okay, darling, have to rush off to a kitty party now. Mwah! Tell na.
Chal na?
Tell na.
No, telling. After this, what there is to tell? सब कुछ आपने ही कह दिया है.
अपनी बात करें ना.
अपनी दिल की बात. Come on, we can give a bigger cheer than we just did.
Oh. Thanks, na.
From the backside also it's coming.
Oh, I know. Lot is going on in the backside, I can see.
Chaliye. I've called mine love letter from me to you, of course, but love letter to Lahore. मेरी प्यारी मोनी, आपसे बहुत कुछ शेयर करना है. You know, गपशप वगैरह. Especially after my last visit to your seductive city, Lahore, where every second woman resembles our beautiful Madhubala and sounds like your melodious Noor Jahan. After each visit to what a gushing foreign journalist to the Lahore Lit Fest described as the Paris of the East, provoking a Lahori lawyer into retorting promptly, "What bakwas, yaar? Why not call Paris the Lahore of the West?" I came away filled with lust and longing. Our Vikram Chandra describes both emotions most eloquently in his magnum opus. I don't know about stinging like a bee, yaar, but Lahore certainly makes me want to float like a butterfly. Just like those heavenly BBs who give the impression of having bathed in asses milk minutes earlier. Mashallah, what fine features, what delicate skin. It has to be the diet or the great sex. Though, if I were to live, love, and feast in Lahore, I would resemble Humpty Dumpty in the first week itself. Those lethal Lahori kebabs and the paradise ka shawarma, to say nothing of Dere Ismail Khan's rich, nutty doda, the walnut-reduced milk and sugar winter speciality, remains matchless. It is as lajawab as the Lahori tradition of feeding mehman the choicest dishes, starting with chikla chana, aloo paranthas and mithai for breakfast, and ending with sizzling tawa chicken and aromatic biryani for dinner. How can I forget the meetha? Shahi tukra in fragrant rose syrup, covered with finely diced badam pistas. Please note, I have not mentioned beef. It has become a banned item where I live in Mumbai, and I face a 5-year jail term if beef is found in my thoughts. No, sorry, in my possession. Food is always a safe subject to discuss across the border. Bollywood used to be the other big obsession, till one of your Khans turned up on our screens, big and small, and upset the Trimurti's monopoly. It is safe to predict that Fawaz Khan could be the next big Khan in the entertainment space. He is just 32, while our boys are hitting 50. Interestingly, his rise to the top of the charts is being seen as some sort of compensation. After all the thrashing your chaps in green have received from our men in blue, hota hai. Of course, cricket is the only real war we will ever fight, and just as well. Look at what a bloody mess our politicians have made of good neighborly relations between the two countries. Nobody wants peace. Nobody but the Aam Aadmi. Sorry, wrong description, wrong party. Ordinary people on both sides of the border, regular people who see more similarities than differences, more affinities than contradictions, more shared passions than deep-seated hostilities. Ask young Indians and Pakistanis about the partition, and you may get blank stares. But ask them about cricket scores or the latest music tracks, and see their eyes light up. They have their hearts and priorities in the right place. So why do your belligerent generals and our oily netas not get it? Because they don't want to. And after Obama Bhaijan's recent visits, I guess America doesn't want to either. Forget politics, politics for the moment. Let me tell you a small story. My life was saved in Lahore. This was in 1993, our first visit to Pakistan. We were there to watch the World Cup finals as guests of the very debonair and dynamic Salman Taseer, God bless his soul. All of a sudden, I developed a high fever, temperatures that made me dizzy and disoriented. I noticed a vein in my forearm had started to throb and bulge. Something was obviously, scarily, horribly wrong. I told my gracious hosts, Seher and Naseem Saigal, I needed to see a doctor, pronto. They rushed me to the president's personal physician. The problem was diagnosed quickly, a severe allergic reaction to a spurious IV had been administered in Mumbai for a dental procedure. And I was given the right royal treatment. I was gently informed about the possibility of a blood clot traveling up my arm and lodging itself anywhere, heart, brain, anywhere. It could have been fatal, I was told. Much as I love Lahore, I didn't want to die there. The attention, love, and care I received remain in my memory as a precious gift from your country. Since then, there have been many trips and innumerable wonderful memories, whether in Lahore, where I experience a deep sense of belonging and happily call myself an honorary Lahori, Karachi, or Islamabad. I have made the most loyal and affectionate friends who remember to call me on every Hindu festival, just as I wish them Eid Mubarak and Happy New Year. It's so easy to be friends, Moni. You know that. Your books are bestsellers in India. I'm told my books do pretty well in Pakistan. Your inimitable style has countless admirers across the world. You use sharp satire to provide a pointed commentary on life in Pakistan. My columns reflect similar concerns, and often our responses to socio-political issues match perfectly. I think of you as my soul sister across the border. I'm proud to say I have 2 or 3 of them, which is why I feel this is our shared richness, our joint amanat. What we taste and relish with our tongues, what we hear and enjoy at concerts, what we watch on our screens, what we flaunt as fashion, the gorgeous summery lawns, those incredibly cut shalwars and cigarette pants, what we devour with our eyes, surely the immortal poetry of our lands is more powerful than banal politics. So here's what I propose, dearest Moni. Send your social butterfly to us. Send us Malala and Fawad Khan, of course. Send us your brilliant writers, poets, artists, and public intellectuals. And we will send Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Don't balk. Remember, he has an impressive chest size, which may well be bigger than Nawaz Sharif's. He's a smart chap, our Modi. Pakistan will discover he isn't as big a monster as he's made out to be. And in the bargain, maybe so will we. Thank you.
As we say in the Punjab, aapke muh mein ghee aur shakkar.
Thank you so much. A few questions to both of you. Shobha, you mentioned Salman Taseer, and I think I'd like to ask Moni, how did things really change for Pakistan and for you as a Pakistani from Lahore who lives in London after Salman Taseer's murder? Was there a greater culture of intolerance? Was it always there? Did it really hit home when that happened?
I think Salman's assassination was a watershed moment for Pakistan. It shut down yet another avenue of tolerance. He was a voice of tolerance. He was a voice of rationality. And he was a very liberal voice as well. And all of those progressive things came to an end. It's wrong to say came to an end, but they were dealt a body blow with Salman's passing. And it's interesting these days, his killer, his case has come up to the Islamabad High Court, and they have said that he did not commit an act of terrorism, but he did murder, and therefore he's liable for the death penalty. And again, it astonishes me, but the people are divided on this. And I think it's a very sad reflection on what has happened to our people.
And yet, you can be funny. So how can you be so funny in the face of such horror?
You know, sometimes humor allows you to get through the dark times. And I call it sort of gallows humor or laughter in the dark. But to be honest, I think a lot of Pakistanis have a great sense of humor. It's what keeps us going. And Punjabis in particular have the ability to make self-deprecating jokes. So they appreciate it. And we also have a very long tradition of it in our culture, in our writing, in our public culture. So, for instance, I don't know if this institution exists in India, but we, even now, we have people called bhands who show up at weddings and at sort of public events, and they really lay into you, even into the host or whoever's even paying for them. So there is a tolerance for humor. And television, there's a lot of satire as well, newspapers, television, literature. The only thing we don't laugh about are the Maulvis.
Because that can get you killed. Shobha, which brings me to, of course, she talked about humor, she talked about bhans, and she talked about bands. And the next question is that we are also living in a culture of intolerance. You have the AIB, whom we're going to have later in the day, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to enjoy them being roasted. So tell me, how is it, as a writer, as an artist, to, you know, when people are outraged so easily, you have to be very careful of what you're doing and saying and writing.
Kaveri, no, I don't think so. I don't think you have to be careful. The minute you say you're being careful, it automatically suggests that you're scared or that the state is bigger than you are. And I believe that freedoms of all kinds say a lot about society and a country. And the more secure you are as a people, the more scope you have to negotiate those freedoms. And freedoms are really indivisible. You cannot say, cannot have a government which says so much freedom is what we will allow and so much is what we find offensive, and this will be banned and that will be banned. The minute you surrender even a centimeter of any of your personal freedoms, you're dead. So it was very important to support the roast and to support those young people who participated in it, the young people who enjoyed it, who were there because they wanted to participate in something of this kind. Irreverence is a very healthy, it's cathartic for a society which has to deal with so many other harsh realities all the time. And it's a safety valve, like humor is a safety valve. And the more you can laugh at yourself, the more it really tells you about yourself and your own sense of confidence. So in terms of freedoms, I do believe they are non-negotiable. And there is no question of being cautious. There's no question of in any way pandering to a government's expectations, bans. If the Constitution guarantees us those freedoms, we have to fight for them. We shouldn't surrender even an inch, ever. The minute we do that, we are dead.
But at the same time, Moni, the fact that you don't live in Lahore, you don't live in Pakistan, sometimes is that a bit of an insulation? The fact that you don't live there, does that make you does that allow you more freedom?
I started writing the Diary of a Social Butterfly before I moved from Pakistan. So I lived there and worked there for many years before I moved. And the diary actually, just tell us a little about how it actually came about. Well, I used to write a column for the Friday Times, and my brief from my editor was that make it light, but let the tone be light, but let the subject be serious. And write about things which are of interest to women. So at that time, I was a young, single woman. And so I started sort of excavating my own life. And I used to put it write about what I was going through and, sitting next to a plane, traveling to Karachi, and the woman next to me saying, "Waise mera ek bhai hai Ontario mein," and, stuff like that. So I used to write about everything. And then I got very bored with it because I felt I had no privacy. This is the years before Facebook. And so...
and Twitter.
And Twitter.
And Instagram.
Both of many.
You draw the line somewhere.
Draw a line there. But so I said to my editor, I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, well, you've already got a readership and we can't let go of the readership, so you've got to come up with something else. So I was at a party and I was watching these two ladies. I'm a terrible eavesdropper. I'm sure you'll find a lot of what's been going on in the next column. But so I was listening to them, and one lady was sort of short and sort of well-rounded, and she was mummified in this chatouche, which was going round and round and round and round her body, and she had these enormous diamond clips in her ears. And there was a kind of people I called slinky aunties. She was almost wearing a chiffon sari. And so she was standing there and flicking back her hair and things. And so the little one said to the other one, she said, "Ye chatouche maine kal liya, 7 yards ka hai. Mere paas 2-3 pehle bhi the, but I thought ki chalo ye bhi le lete hain. To tumhare paas kitne hain?" So she looked at her and she's, "मैं तो डार्लिंग शातूश पहनती नहीं, मैं तो शॉल्स पहनती नहीं, वो जरा मेड्स वाला इफेक्ट आ जाता है ना." I thought to myself, this is my subject, this is my content, these are my people, this is my voice. So I went home and I wrote a whole column about this and I gave it to my editor and he looked at it and he says, "It won't sell." And I said, "Let's just run one." So that night we were at a party and somebody came up to my editor in front of me and said, "That column was really funny." And he said, "Wasn't it? I commissioned it." And that was that.
I think, Shobha, we faced quite a few editors like that. But I wanted to get back to what Moni was saying. Parties in London, Lahore, Delhi, Mumbai, if they have Indians and Pakistanis, they all sound the same, don't they? Or do they? You must be a great eavesdropper too. You have to be.
Incorrigible. And an incorrigible voyeur as well, because I'm always watching people. I think all writers do that, perhaps all painters do that as well. You're looking for clues, material, constantly. It's really an affliction, it's a disease, it's terrible. I want to free myself of it, it doesn't happen. Do all the parties sound alike?
Yeah, in the sense that I wanted to ask specifically, like a Delhi party and a Mumbai party. You've attended both. How different are they?
I mean, we could be on different continents. That different.
Yeah, tell me a little about that.
I think in Delhi, you'll notice that people rarely make eye contact because they're so busy looking over your shoulder for someone more important who might be coming up, who they must instantly engage with. Yes. So they don't want to waste a microsecond of their time because, of course, it's very precious. And they all want to start with just one basic question. And if you can't answer that, out, you're over. Which colony do you live in? So this colony in the... I couldn't quite get it earlier. Which colony do you live in? So, okay. In Mumbai, it's equally ruthless, but differently. Ruthless. George Clooney. That should be the right answer the next time.
You live in George
Clooney.
No, that's Amal. Not us.
Bombay is pretty ruthless too, but there the conversation would really be about money and more money and who's made how much, who's lost how much, who's going to make how much, and who has who's on the billionaire list? Very, very key question. Whether that position has slipped from number 3 to number 14, in which case the person leaves town for a few months and comes back again having made that money and can again climb up on that billionaire list. But the thing I do notice that when very, very important people from Delhi, namely politicians, come to Mumbai. And Mumbai has a lot of irreverence for most people, unless they're movie stars and have a lot of money. Otherwise, everybody is the same. They couldn't care less. So when these VVVVIP people come to Mumbai and they expect people to, kowtow and go salam, 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 or at least a parting of the sea, as it were, a parting of ways. And they come in sometimes with their whichever category security they have. And no one blinks, and no one leaves their conversations to go rushing up to Minister Ji to say welcome, welcome, or whatever they say. It devastates them, and they immediately complain of an instant stomachache and leave the party. Because they're just not accustomed to people treating them like just regular folks who are there to talk and converse and meet other guests. They expect everything to come to a standstill. When that doesn't happen, it's such a huge ego blow that it's just better to leave the party than hang around and be like everybody else. It's very interesting to see the same people in power and out of power. I'm sure that must happen when they come to parties in Delhi as well. But in Delhi, people do have a memory about former netas and probably give them respect.
No, I think it's just self-preservation. They know that they can come back to power, so they better be careful. What about you, Moni? What's Lahore like with politicians? At least you have beautiful wives like Reham Khan. We don't have that. Huh? Well, I think she's beautiful.
She who eats sausage.
Oh, yes.
I don't know, but before I answer your question, Shobha, I will say that you said that nobody remembers partition and the young people. I beg to differ. I went this morning to the hairdresser naturally, to the first floor, and there this lady was washed and blow-dried my hair, and then towards the end she said, "Ma'am, partition is side pe karenge ki is side?" So the partition is well and alive. So I said, "Meri aap left side pe partition karte." Sorry, your question.
No, the question was about politicians in Pakistan. Do they behave as badly as politicians in India?
I think worse.
Really?
I think
What
worse.
is their MO?
We always live with the fear that the fear and lovely army. We live with this fear that at any moment we might just be bundled out. So the thing is that you've got to make as much as you make as quickly as you can. And I think that is a sort of thing that sets our politicians apart. There's a kind of ungainly, unseemly hurry to help themselves as much as quickly as possible. I think your guys are a little...
Sounds very familiar.
Maybe yours are a little, because they know they're there for 5 years.
Come to Maharashtra and find out.
But you have your generals too. We don't have that. I mean,
That's
we have generals, but they are not in politics.
They come to India to take conclave, yeah. No, ours are very much there. As I said, we live in fear of being bundled out by them all the time. When I say we, I mean the civilian government. So, yeah, and the generals also, I mean, the generals more than anybody else are helping themselves with their noses and the snouts in the trough,
Just a last question, and then I'll ask the audience to ask questions as well. Shobha, has distance helped you also? The fact that you don't live in Delhi allows you to be out of the Lutyens zone and the Lutyens mindset, and you can write more dispassionately about power and politics.
No,
the fact
I
that
think
you live in
distance
Mumbai.
is always a good thing when you're a journalist. Like when I was editing Stardust, I never ever really met with Bollywood stars. I never attended parties. I didn't go to any of the premieres or any film-related event. I think a healthy distance definitely keeps your mind clear and as objective as it's possible. We all have our prejudices, we all have our preferences, but keeping a distance is something I would recommend greatly to anybody who's in the public space trying to speak in a voice that is independent. And I think a lot of our anchors, if they weren't that cozy with politicians and on sort of first-name terms on panel discussions, would lead to panel discussions which have more probably relevance, meaning maybe they'll be able to get perspectives which aren't so cozy after all. I think distance is very good and very healthy and very recommended.
Rajdeep, you want to take that question? Okay. Sorry? Okay, questions from the audience? No? Okay, we'll just continue this conversation. Oh, there is. Yeah, please.
And I just wanted to add, Kavri, because that didn't come up, but at the Lahore Lit Fest,
Yeah.
it was, which was very recent, just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, under really very daunting circumstances. There had been a suicide bomb attack a few kilometers from the venue of the Lit Fest.
Yes.
And the government had told the organizers that they could not provide security. When those of us who did turn up, and I can see John and others in the audience who were there, those who came from overseas, you came from London, so on, to come to a lit fest with snipers on the rooftop, with people in combat gears, with people flashing Kalashnikovs with their fingers on the trigger. There were probably as many police people there and as many really heavily armed people there as there were participants. And despite that, the city arrived in the hundreds to participate in something where you're risking your life. And the opinion
and
that...
your clothes, because it was raining.
It was, and your clothes, of course.
And shoes.
And shoes. But it was incredible. I mean, the people came, there was hardly any place to sit. There were people 10 deep sitting in the aisles. So I would say, and the opinions that were being shared were so brave and so strong and so fearless, including from your own intellectuals and lawyers who were talking about the government without the slightest concern about
the army.
And sorry?
And the army. They were talking about
the army. Exactly.
That
That is something that I think we should all acknowledge, because we are seeing less and less and less of that here. And this entire kind of almost a paranoia that should we say this, should we not?
Right.
Should we tackle this in public or not? Are there going to be mobs at my door, as there have been with me over tweets? To have police protection, it's a very uncomfortable, awful feeling. It's never happened in our country before, and all of us should strenuously fight it and raise our voices when we see it.
I would like to reiterate what you said, and also some things which were said yesterday. I think, you know, what Lahore Literary Festival and gatherings like this do is to allow us to mingle and express our views freely. And I think that's absolutely, it's vitally important for people, certainly in Pakistan, I can't say about India, but certainly in Pakistan, for them to see Indians, to meet with Indians, to see that they don't have horns on their heads and tails and cloven hooves, so that they can, you know, they can be a fair and sort of free exchange of views. And people can then look beyond the propaganda that we are fed day and night about how we are sworn enemies and will remain sworn enemies. If you remember, I don't know if you saw this, but at the festival, the events which were the most crowded were those with Indians on them, because the Pakistani public wants to hear what Indians have to say. They don't want mediation. They want to hear it from them, directly.
Yeah.
And I think if there could be, you know, as I was saying, this bloody visa problem is so acute. If we could possibly have greater interaction, I think it would make for much healthier relations.
You know, when I did come in 1993 and I was wearing saris almost throughout, and I did experience a sense of deep-rooted suspicion and wariness. And I walked out into the marketplace, and a little boy hid behind his mother and tugged at her dupatta and said, "Ammi, ammi, dekhiye, dushman."
Oh, wow.
You know, so it came as such a shock to me that a child would identify a woman in a sari with a bindi, and in his mind, that person was the dushman. That was the indoctrination for a long time that happened in schools, in colleges. That has definitely changed. It continues?
In Pakistan, I mean, in the textbooks, etc., it is there. But, you know, once...
Our textbooks are being rewritten every now.
So we
have a
know
new version
soon,
of our own history.
We'll know soon what they sound like or read like. No, but has social media and, you know, festivals like this changed the perception or no?
A little bit, but you know, the thing is that how many Pakistanis come to something like this?
Yeah.
I think there's me and Hussein here. And, you know, there'll be a handful of Indians at the literary festival. We have to liberalize this visa policy so people can come and go with greater ease.
What about social media? Hasn't that helped? There's no mediation there.
Social media, you know, I think you have to meet people face to face. I really do. Social media does work to some extent, but you have to engage more freely. And also remember, as somebody who uses email certainly a lot as well as Twitter, tone doesn't carry. You know, you'll be making a joke and it doesn't come across. But when you meet people, it does. Sorry, there were questions.
Yes, please. This gentleman? Yeah. But we're not going to let you get away with no air kissing lessons, huh? That we have to do. I know. We have to.
I've removed my partition.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
I am Firoz Bakht Ahmed. I have a question for both of you. Both of you spoke very well, especially in your letters. The question is very simple. When, you know, people from Pakistan like Moni is here, Imran Khan, or yesterday we heard Hussein Haqqani, you speak very well, you speak about friendship. Now, and as you said that the governments are sworn enemies. Now, who are the people who benefit because of enmity between India and Pakistan? Why can't people like you, or from our side also, can't we bring a revolution and we can once again become friends as we were before partition?
I think in Pakistan, I certainly know that the trading community is very, very keen for there to be greater interaction between our two countries. I know that a lot of NGOs have already made contact with their counterparts in India. My books sell the most in India. This is my biggest market. The number of festivals that I've been to in India far outweighs the number of festivals I've been to anywhere else in the world. So ordinary people, I think, do want it. I think the vested interest in Pakistan is basically just the military. You know, their whole existence is based on the insistence that there's an enemy out there, which makes them the guardians of our nation, and so they can therefore be in positions of power. I think it only serves their interest, and also their protégés, who are the jihadis.
Cohen, you had a question?
Moni, this is for you. You said that you are an eavesdropper and a voyeur. I'd love to have a snippet of, in the last 2 days, what you have observed here for us, please.
Please.
Aap dekhenge. You'll have to wait. I mean, I gave you the partition thing because it was in my mind, but you'll just have to wait because it has to, what's the word, marinate for a little bit. And then it'll come out as fine wine.
Any more questions? There was, yes, Sachin. Yes, Mala. You're better at this.
I have to say, Moni, I read every word you write, every single week, and your books. Please write more books because I've run out of all of them. I just want to know, what is the hope for the Kulchus of the world in your country now? Because he doesn't have the emotional connect that perhaps our generation had with India. And there is a memory, even through the eyes of our parents, of the partition. But Kulchu doesn't know that. So is there a connect between his generation and...
You know, I think that's both good and bad. My father went to school in Pakistan, in Lahore, and a lot of his classmates were are now Indians. They were Indians then too, but they crossed at partition. And every year at the anniversary of the school or for weddings or whatever, they all come over. And the numbers are dwindling because they are passing away. But we have made friends with their children, and they are coming to stay with me in London next month. It's good in the sense that we have a connection, and we can continue with the connection. And it's bad in the sense that some people still have very painful memories of partition. So people like Kulchu, I think, can take the good and leave out the bad, because they're in a place where they really don't have any memories or any baggage, and they are free to do as they wish. And particularly, I've seen, when we live out of India and Pakistan, when our children are at universities, when I have a friend here who was with me at university, and I'm very touched that he came today. And I think we meet without any sort of prejudices and hang-ups when we meet outside. So that gives me great hope that we will be able to surmount these present difficulties.
The absolutely last question, sir.
Hi, Kaveri. My question is for Shobha. Hello. You are celebrated as a person who says anything she wants, to whom she wants, when she wants, how she wants, and for whatever reason she finds fit. Now, my question is, many times people shoot the rifle off their friends' shoulders. Would you allow that, or is everything you bring out there your absolute personal own opinion?
I put myself on the line. I don't need someone else's shoulder to shoot from time to time.
No, someone else using your shoulder.
It hasn't happened so far. I doubt that it will. I don't see that happening, honestly, ever. I can say that completely with complete conviction. It has never happened. But thank you for your kind words. I think the important thing is here that between our two countries, at that Lahore Lit Fest, I'm sorry to keep going back to it, the word fundu was used many times. So we have fundus here, and we have fundus there, and we have fundus everywhere. The idea would be to, in a way, even demystify the whole fundu bogey, so that we can deal with the fundus in a way that is better for both of us, for the world, for everybody.
Or just export them to ISIS.
We have an ISIS expert actually on your panel. We should ask him what he'd do with the fundus.
Thank you very much, both of you. It was delightful. And please, I would recommend that all of you read the letters again. They're really, really lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Do stay on stage while I invite Praveen Kumar, Director of Volvo India, to come up and present a small token of our appreciation to these two lovely ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please have a round of applause for them? Thank you, Ms. Mohsin. Thank you, Ms. Day.